everybody. Zazoo Plazz here, Zazoo Plazz. Hey! This is the second time I do this, by the way. The first time was way better, but then some lady in an SUV just drove in the parking lot and totally threw off my concentration. And then I started, I uttered a couple of inappropriate words, so I had to start all over again. So there's way more humor in this report than I had even expected. So anyway, yeah, I thought we'd start off the year with a bang. This is the, my oldest son got me this for my birthday last year. By the way, Leslie Plazz, Zazoo Plazz report for January 2nd, 2023. I wonder if the whole year is going to be like this. Ow! Let's do the ball drop. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ah! Okay. I don't know. And then I found my pen, which was here. It was like stuck to the ground. I must have been standing on it last week. I was looking for it. And then I wanted to show you the last pile of snow in the whole neighborhood. And I can see it. When I lie in bed, I can look over here at the school and I can see the little pile of snow. I thought you'd want to know that. So yeah, welcome, Zazoo Plazz community. It's a fresh new year, a clean slate. Oh my goodness. Some people are scared of clean slates, you know? Like some writers, you know, they see a blank page and they just, not me. I'm like, I need to buy more notebooks. You know, what scares me is running out of stuff to learn, running out of paper to write stuff on, running out of, you know, like space on my laptop to store everything. You know, I fear boredom. And, you know, so I'm addressing that issue in my life. Those of you who know me. Anyway, I'll just leave that there. So I guess this report has, you know, it's got that New Year's theme to it. So I'm not going to get into the astrology. There's a lot going on. Mercury retrograde being the most obvious. And then there's like Pluto stationing forward and then going back, and Saturn is going into Aquarius. No, Pisces. Saturn was in Aquarius and it's going into Pisces. I know, because I have like my second Saturn return coming up in like 2 years or something, year and a half. I don't know when it's going to hit, but that's like a thing, you know. But the thing I've learned about the Zazoo reports is I'm way too interested in way too many things to just talk about one thing to death, okay? Well, I could talk about death. That's one of the things I'm fascinated by. But what I mean is to say, if you want details and recipes, you know, I'll give you links to other people's recipes and then you can go and make the yummy treats yourself. If you came here for recipes, you know, it's not really, this isn't what Zazoo's about, okay? And if you think when I post my videos, if you think this is like a nice little normal Facebook profile, it's not, okay? I'm about higher things, you know. So if you're looking for substance in terms of, you know, like recipes and, you know, how to decorate your house and stuff, there's a ton of stuff on the internet about that. This is the only place where you're going to get genuine Zazoo Plazz. I'm the only one in the world, and you, lucky person, happen to be part of my community. And if I haven't deleted you, that means I think you're pretty cool. All right, now here's what I really think. Never mind. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm. So anyway, um, and I was thinking Mercury. Um, the song, let's ease into the song this week. Okay, so on that note, on that vein, right? I made my New Year's meat pies and everything, and my dad came over and we had our nice dinner. And I realized though, it's, I know I post the pictures of the food, and the food is, it's tasty. It's not perfect looking, but it's tasty. But it's not just about the food, okay? I did some searching on this. I mean, not searching on the internet, like real searching, inside. And that's what this year is going to be all about. I'm just, going deep. It's not about the food. It's about the ritual and the people. I mean, not just the people, but it's the fact that, it's a link to my ancestors, and it's going, and I'm carrying the torch forward to the future, right? To my kids. It doesn't matter if the kids continue the meat pie tradition or whatever. That's not it. It's when you take anything, and you make it, you elevate it and give gratitude and make it a ritual and make it sacred. It becomes, something higher, okay? So, it's like the Mass, right? It's like Catholics, we have our, people might say, okay, that's just a piece of bread, you know. When I first married my husband, I had never heard of this Polish tradition. They take something they call the płatek, and it's basically blessed Eucharist bread, which is, it's like wafer thin bread that but they make sheets of it, and they wrap it in, plastic. And if you go to the Polish bakery or whatever, we used to get the blessed wafers, and it would say Wesołych Świąt or Boże Deń Narodzenia. It's basically Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. Boże Deń Narodzenia, I think, is birth of Christ. Wesołych Świąt, I think, is just Happy Holidays or something. My husband can correct me, but I think that's what it is. And so what we would do was, when my mom was around, there would be 6 of us and then 8 with the kids, and we'd each take a bit of the other person's płatek, the bread. Each person got a square of bread of the, wafer, which was blessed by a priest or bishop, archbishop, or whoever. And then you would take, so after, usually before dessert, we'd do it, after the dinner on Christmas Day or Christmas Eve. And what you would do is you would take a piece of the other person's bread, one little, like corner, and say, I wish you health, I wish you happiness. It would be like 3 things. And I wish you prosperous New Year. Doesn't have to be, it could be, great golf games, and this good French. It was a challenge to come up with something about the other person that shows that was personal, like that you knew about them and you knew what they enjoyed. So then you would have, this bread, and you would eat it, and they would do the same to you, and then they would eat their bread. And it was kind of nice, and over the years we kind of stopped doing it. My parents always thought, I think, it wasn't a French tradition, so for them it was a little strange, but they did it because I like to do it, And not that you can't, it's a wonderful tradition. And I noticed when, my mother-in-law was over, she left a big piece of płatek, and it was my younger son's, because he just kind of ran out right at the end and ditched the whole thing. But, I know we have other rituals. But the beauty of that, and whatever you celebrate, it's that they did it. It wasn't, that was the best ritual. It was their ritual, and it was something that meant something. It was elevated to a sacred level because of the love that went into it. That I see you, and I wish this for you. I wish you what brings you joy. You see? So, for my dad, he finds purpose and meaning in going to church, several times a week. It's for him, he's elevated. For me, you know, I find joy doing this, in seeing myself reflected back and reflected to others so that you can see yourself in my stories and understand some of your stories through mine. And I think that this is a ritual that I'm definitely going to continue in the new year, because when I don't do it, it's like I'm looking at a piece of just wafer, I'm just using that as an example. But, it's life becomes flat. It becomes gray and boring, and one day goes into the next, instead of, oh, it's Zazoo Report Day, and it ceases to become, each day ceases to have its own special quality, So you could say, well, on Mondays I have my, my berry shake with spinach, and Tuesdays I have my coconut tropical shake, and Wednesdays I have a yogurt parfait with berries, that kind of thing. I would, mix up my breakfast so I knew what day it was, like during the pandemic or whatever. You gotta, that's the thing, is to approach life like, well, for me anyway, to take it or leave it. I'm offering you, some stuff. You might find it interesting. You might say, not for me. And that's fine. No judgment. So, yeah, I started thinking, so there are, so I made the pies. You know, some people will just say, oh, I gotta do, mindlessly, nobody told me to make them. And I realized, it's, yeah, that, the kids enjoy them and stuff, but the reason I make them is not because anybody tells me to. It's not because I'm afraid that, my grandmother or my mom are gonna, strike me with lightning if I don't. See, then you're doing something based on fear, or based on, an obsessive thing, like, oh, if I don't do this thing, if I don't, they used to send, back in the old days, oh man, I remember, like, somebody would send you, like, a letter, a chain letter. And well, they do them online now, probably. But the thing, I hated that as a kid. Somebody would send me, or give me, like, some girls at school or whatever would be doing, you've got to, give this to 10 people, and then, they got to pass it on, or else you're going to have an awful, something awful is going to happen to you. And I'd be like, and going and writing 10 copies and giving it to 10 people. And then, it's like a pyramid scheme. All right. These are the same people who used to do these things. Now they're out doing pyramid schemes, or, selling timeshares or something. Anyway. Anyway, so yeah, I gotta get around to the song of the week. So, okay, so here's a song. We're starting out the year. I don't even know where this came from. Again, I was thinking, the Pope, the previous Pope, Pope Benedict, had, just passed away, and may rest in peace. And yeah, I remember. So I was thinking Rome, and I don't know if that's why I was thinking Rome, Rome. And then, but the other day it did pop up while I was running, and I thought, oh, that's a great New Year's song, the B-52s. Oh man, a few years ago I did an article for the local paper on the company from my hometown that manufactured. I think they made B-52s. They made, the parts for the engines for airlines. So that I did an article on the engineers from back in the day. Like, they were still, when I did the article, I don't know, early 2000s, and some of these guys were still around. They were all guys talking about how they, you know, they were on the in the early days. They were on the forefront of making these, you know, uh, engines for these, these super jets, these super fighting, planes, and you know, this particular company, Pratt and Whitney, which is, in my hometown, East Hartford, Connecticut, was part of a conglomerate called the United Technologies, but they actually made a lot of the engines that were in the planes that were in World War II and all this. So I grew up in this town where everybody worked for this company, or my dad was even one of the first in the engineering and the aircraft, department, setting up all the computer systems for this company. And so, a lot of my stories are, coming from the, point of view of air and technology, security, all this kind of stuff. This is what Connecticut, and there's a plane. This is what Connecticut has long been known for, Maybe it sounds boring until you do a little research, right? You explore. And then you realize, all these things that happened before I was born. And then you realize why you came to be in the place you are. And that makes for a fascinating story. If part of your life purpose is learning about yourself, in human design, they have, right angle people and left angle people. And I won't go into it here, but you know how everybody has their cross to bear, right? So some people have a right angle cross, which means their job in this life is to learn about themselves. And some people have a left angle one, which means their job is to be of service, right? To be outwardly focused. In other words, things from the people and things from the outside lift them up, and other people are lifted up by finding out things about themselves. Like that guy Narcissus in the Greek myth who, fell in the pond because he was so enamored of his reflection. Anyway, I was just looking at that today. Echo and Narcissus. Echo was the name of my high school newspaper, and I was co-editor. So I'll talk more about that later. So anyway, the song is Rome by the B-52s, 1989. Now this is a very happy song. It kicked your new year off. It was from Cosmic Thing. The B-side was Bushfire. Aren't they great? There's always the double entendre with the B-52s. The beehive, everything is kind of dirty, but you can sing it, in front of your kids, and it's not that embarrassing, or your mom. They played Love Shack at our wedding. That was our wedding party song. Yeah, and my husband and I, we got engaged 28 years ago on January 1st up in Montreal. So there's that. I was thinking about that. 28 years ago. He said, well, when if I propose to you, there's going to be trees. So I was thinking, oh, you got to go out in the woods somewhere. So we're in this, we had a nice dinner at this fancy hotel in Montreal. And then after, we were in the room, and he had this little Christmas tree, and he set it up. And out the window there was a big Q on the side of a building. It was the name of a hotel or something. And so, and I had just given up at that point. It was New Year's Eve was over, and it was like 12:30 in the morning. It's okay, this isn't going to happen. Goodbye. And then that's when he proposed. So, there was a tree, and it was, there were cowboys singing on the TV, on the, some kind of country act singing on TV in the room. And anyway, so 28 years ago, wow. And this is also the year I've been out of high school 40 years. I mean, that's something. But I still feel like I'm still into high school. You know, I'm learning there's that asteroid, uh, Echo, and it's conjunct my ascendant. It's like who I am, right? And it says it's in Libra. It's a 5 degrees. It's like the Echo in the first house. This is the girl who would sit by herself at lunch because she didn't want her outrageous views to be sanitized by the crowd. And it's true. Sometimes I would choose to say nothing rather than, risk having people go, look at me. And my having said what exactly was on my mind, I would get these looks. So at some point, I guess I just, I was content to be the editor of the Echo, which was our school newspaper. That senior year was co-editor. And I used to, let one of my friends run the meetings for me because I was, it's not that I couldn't have led, I was leading, I was running the paper. But she was a big mouth and she had no problem with, getting up there and saying things that, people didn't like, which she knew were the same things that I was thinking. But I wouldn't, I was thinking, even sometimes, I'd be there I just keep to myself because it was just too exhausting. Trying to, all the other girls would be, nah, 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 nah. Even in the office. I used to go in the office, there'd be these moms, talking, and and I used to just, I'd either eat at my desk or I'd go outside because I didn't want to have to, you know, dim my experiences and my ideas to get to get along. So I would people would think I was very quiet because I didn't like to make small talk, but I was I just had a lot going on anyway. And now I have a YouTube channel, so I get to talk. So anyway, yeah. So I want to talk about the song before the time runs out. 1989, it got to number 3 on the Billboard Top 100. March 1990. In 20 weeks, it was certified gold and nominated for a Grammy. Awesome. Okay, so what I want to say, all right, listen to some of the lyrics. Boy Mercury shooting through every degree. The trip begins with a kiss, right? That's like a New Year's kiss, right? Kiss, or you could say, the trip begins with a kiss. It could be the start of a relationship, right? Begins with a kiss. You go back and you think about the, people you've been, boyfriends, girlfriends, spouses, people, and significant romantic others in your life. Take it hip to hip, whatever. Okay, that's kind of the outer meaning of it. That could be a thing. It begins with a kiss. Or you could say it could be on a higher level, right? So it begins with a kiss. And then, and then you're born, right? So there's this kiss, there's this coming together, and then a new life starts, right? And then so you start going around your chart. Even every year begins with a kiss, right? So every year the astrological cycle starts again. And it's brilliant, really. This song has many meanings, really. But, explore. It's about exploring. If you look at the video, there's planets, right? There's stuff, if you look at the spinning, the world, you don't, hip to hip could be, the way the houses are organized in the astrological chart. It could be all of us, at a higher consciousness throughout the world, coming together in community. It could be that, It's wherever your mind goes, that's where you're going to see it, right? And so you can see, if you hear that song and the first thing you think is, oh, I'm going to go to my travel agent and book a trip around the world, you kind of miss the boat. You kind of miss the meaning a little bit there. You have a ways to go. You know, and when you start studying, you look at the video. There's all these different religions, whirling, whatever they call those guys. The guys who would like spin around and get into a state of ecstasy. And it basically means, wherever, what's your potion? What's your poison? What, yeah, go higher. Find what turns you on, right? And lifts your soul and do that. And I mean, it's astrology. They've got arrows, dirty and dusty trails. That's like paving your own path, right? Because there's dirty trails. No one's paved that. No one's been there before. It's your trail, Yeah. There's all kinds of wilderness, the sky and the sea, the air signs, the water signs, the dirty trails, the dusty trails. That's the earth, right? You've got it all there. There's air signs, water signs, earth signs, and then there's fire, And I think I wrote something about fire. It's going back to the rituals, right? It's how you use it, right? Fire, passion, right? Can keep you alive or it can burn you up. Bushfire, yeah. Water, it provides life. We need it to live. It can drown you. Air, we need it to breathe, right? But then you can, get in a typhoon or a big hurricane, windstorm, and then there's the earth, okay? We have crystals and turquoise, things like that. Precious gems, and some people can say, oh, that's just valuable for how much it's worth, but like diamonds, they're just rocks, but it's the ritual, that makes that a sacred crystal. It becomes yours. You bless it. You use it, to channel energy through, right? And it becomes your crystal, and it becomes something higher. It's not just a rock. So you see, when you're a kid, you play marbles. You play marbles with rocks, and then when you're an adult, you realize this is, a way to a higher state of consciousness, right? It's like burning incense, right? It's, one of those things. Even the church burns incense, right? They have the thing that goes back and forth. And so, I guess what I want to say is, have a ball this new year. May you roam whichever way you want to. And, yeah. Let the mystery. Peel the onion. Delve. Take a trip. Roam. Yeah. I'm going to go in and I was going to make clam chowder tonight. I have enough energy left over. The second meat pie was inhaled by a 19-year-old son. So there isn't much left. There's just crumbs. I'm going to go back and, use my magic crystal ball. The clam chowder. So, it's time to go back and gaze into the crystal ball and see the year I'm going to create for myself. And I hope you have a wonderful year. I hope you have a ball and you roam. And, I hope it's a great year for you. And I'll be back next week with a Zazoo Plazz report. Take care. Bye-bye.